I can teach you how to buy a house, and I can tell you all the good reasons on why you should buy a house, but let me simplify it. Buying a house is free money in the future. Free money in the future. Free money in the future. And let me say it again. It's free money in the future. Oh, I've never heard that before. What do you mean? Free money in the future? Free money in the future means that if you're gonna pay $2 or $3 grand a month in rent, that's gonna be every year $24, $48, $72,000 gone. You will never get it back. It's rent money. You don't get rent money back. But if you owned that house and you sold that house 3 years, 5 years, 10 years down the road, and instead of paying the same dollar amount, instead of calling it rent, we call it mortgage. So you pay $72,000 towards a mortgage or $72,000 towards rent. If you pay it towards that mortgage, when you sell the home, you get the money back. You're gonna need a roof over your head anyways for the next 50 years or however long you plan on living, right? So how do you get that roof over your head? In a couple ways. You find a place, you pay rent to someone else who's gonna get rich by doing that, which, as they should, or you can own the house. You can pay the $2 or $3 grand a month. Either way, you're paying the $2,000 or $3,000 a month, whether it's rent or it's mortgage. Paying your mortgage is free money in the future, because when you go to sell that house, the idea is that you get all that money you paid against the mortgage, you pay down that mortgage, you get all that money back when you sell the home, minus your fees, because nothing's done for free. Everybody needs a job, and the realtor should get you enough money that they actually cover their own fees anyways, versus you selling that home on their own. But paying a mortgage is free money in the future. Free money in the future. Let that sink in a little bit. I have another video about my address. What is that address? 4525 East Angela Drive. And that property I said is my bank account. I put $60,000 in a bank account, or I put $60,000 in this home, and I watched that house pay, number one, pay me more, plus go up in value and all these other things. But wrap your head around the concept of free money in the future. Like I said, what I mean about free money in the future is that you're gonna pay $2 or $3 grand a month for rent anyways, or you can pay $2 or $3 grand a month for a mortgage. And that, either way, the money is gone. But in the mortgage route, you sell it and you get that money back. It's free money in the future. You already paid it, so it's gonna be lost one way or the other. But when you go to sell that property, say you bought a property for 500 grand, your mortgage payment, well, let's just do, I know if it's 400, okay, so let's say you have like a $2,500 a month mortgage payment on 500 grand. Maybe you have 26, who knows what the exact number is, just use round numbers. Or you rent for 2,500 bucks a month. 2,500 bucks a month is gone. Times that by 12, times it by 36 months, times it by 5, 10 years, times it by 20 or 30 years. It's gone 100%. But if you pay $2, $3 grand a month, 2,500 a month for 30 years, 10, 20, 30 years, number one, like I said, both scenarios, the money is gone. The second scenario with the mortgage, you actually own in the home, you financing the home through the bank, you're gonna get most of that back. I mean, you're paying the mortgage down. Let's say the property appreciates at 3% per year. You're probably looking at $750,000, $800,000. And you actually, you're paying that mortgage down. Obviously with interest rates and the bank, you're probably paying about $700,000 or $800,000 for that too. But at least you're getting the mortgage back. You're getting the money back. It's free money in the future. If you don't understand that concept, like I said, I have no problem explaining it to you. And oh my goodness, phone is blowing up. There we go, finally stopped it. Free money in the future. You're paying $2 or $3 grand a month. If you have kids and a wife or kids and you're living your life, you got kids, you probably got a house. You're probably paying rent anyways on a house. It's not like you can live in a 1-bedroom apartment and pay $1,000 a month for your entire life. So you're probably gonna be paying $2 or $3 grand a month for this roof over your head. If you're paying that towards a loan at $2 or $3 grand a month, it can come back to you down the road. It's like an invisible bank account that you have built up over time. $2 or $3 grand a month, let's just say $2 grand a month. You're looking at 24 grand a year, 36 grand a year if you're at $3 grand a month. 36 grand a year times by 3 years, you're at $100,000. You've been paying rent for 5-10 years already. So if you pay 3 years of rent, you're roughly at $100,000 in rent you're paying. I mean, can you imagine doing that for 10 years? You know, so what, you're at 300,000, you're gonna be $350,000, $400,000 in rent that you had paid. $350,000 in rent that you paid? Can you imagine getting a $300,000 payday in one day? I've seen it happen many times. That is what happens when you sell your home. You get a huge, large, fat check. Now, yes, there's always those people who are gonna say, oh, my uncle or this person got crushed in real estate, they made a bad investment. Yes, people get overexcited, they make dumb decisions. Builders, you know, do it. They say builders go to broke sooner or later because they keep buying and buying and buying. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about the average American, the average human being. Let's talk about the average American, the average human being. What are your real options? You go pay rent. You can rent one of my homes for $2 or $3 grand a month, and I'll say thank you because that's going to go $2 or $3 grand a month, less that I owe on the mortgage, and I'm going to get that money back when I sell the home. Or you can be the owner of that property, and you can collect the rent. Would you rather pay the rent or collect the rent? Please comment below. You should want to collect the rent, not pay the rent. Plus, let me tell you, I owed well over $100,000 a year in taxes last year. I could do an investment play where I do a cost segregation. You can reach out to us, we can explain those too. But you can pass that play, you can pass that transaction through against your earned income and not even pay taxes. There's ways to do that. There's all kinds of benefits to buying and selling real estate, but it is very important that, number one, that you trust the person that you're working with. The reason why it's important that you trust the person, so you will actually listen to their advice, because there's nothing worse than getting advice and doing nothing with it. You're wasting everyone's time, but you got the advice. I mean, you're more knowledgeable than you were, but you still do nothing with the information. So, you can, like I said, pay rent and the money is gone forever. Or you could pay a mortgage and it's like getting free money in the future. There's gonna be a payday where we transact that house and we're at the closing table and you're like, those are what's gonna say proceeds due to the seller, $296,000. Most likely it's gonna be some appreciation, plus you pay down the mortgage, whether it's your personal house or your investment property. Either way, I am telling you without a shadow of a doubt, it's gonna say proceeds due to a seller. You're gonna look over at me and you're gonna be like, I remember that YouTube video I watched. You're 100% right. I'm so glad that I watched that video. I'm glad I reached out to you. And you know, we're gonna have an amazing friendship that goes on well, that's what I enjoy most about my life, is the friendships. When I go out with our families and we're all having a good time and just, you know, enjoying on a Sunday, laughing our butts off, watching the, you know, football games and all that stuff. But it starts here. It starts with the transactions. It starts with the relationship, a business relationship, and it carries over to a lifelong friend relationship. But like I said, we will be sitting at a closing table sometime sooner or later in our life if you truly listen to our advice. And it's gonna say proceeds due to the seller, and I love that number. It could say 97,000, but often it says 100, 200, 300, 400,000. And these people are getting wire transfers and deposits into their bank account the day after closing, sometimes the same day of closing, for that $400,000 number. Now, God bless that person. My only hope for both of us is that sometimes it's me that gets that $400,000 payday, and sometimes it's you that gets that $400,000 payday. Like this video if you like the information. Comment below if you hate me. Comment below if you have any questions on anything that I said. Share it if you want. Subscribe if you want. But I'm gonna start being more consistent with just delivering the facts of what real estate. It is a big play, and anytime you approach something big, it kind of becomes something daunting, or what's the right word? It's crippling. It's just it seems like a tall task. Let me tell you, these are just average, everyday people that made a few different decisions than you, and either way, they still live the same 24 hours in the day. They still have a job that produces $80, $100, $150,000 a year. And honestly, maybe some of them only make $60,000 a year. But they're doing these transactions and they're getting these huge paydays. And they are no different than any of us. And sometimes they make a little bit more money than us. A lot of times they make the same money as any of you guys. And if you're not making $60,000 a year, you can honestly reach out to us and we can help you find a different career, just because that's how much we actually care. It's not all about just buying and selling real estate. It's just conversations. And sometimes I have a network of people that could use your skills, that could help you better your life. Well, why wouldn't we pair the two together, and now you're making more money? And then obviously come back to us for all your real estate transactions. But these real estate transactions are an amazing way for the average person to catapult their net worth. Now, if you're talking about Grant Cardone and all these other guys, they're great individuals too, and I hope and believe that they're leading with an honest heart, and I think they are. He's going to tell you to invest all that money in your business, and Grant Cardone makes literally over $500,000 a day in all of his training and stuff. If you have that business idea that you're going after, maybe it's better for you to live on a friend's couch and pay $0 a month in rent, and those thousands of dollars you're going to pay in rent and mortgage you put towards that business. But if you have a family, if you have a normal great career, if you're you're just doing the normal, you fall in that normal category, then you should be doing these plays just to better your life, because you could use that $200,000 or $300,000 in the future to go after a future business adventure, pay for the kids' student, the education, the cars, whatever it is. But whatever it is, just don't do nothing. That's the worst. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out anytime, day or night. 480-740-1839. If I'm awake and I'm doing real estate, I'm answering my phone. 480-740-1839. God bless.